Sound resumed.
Q1 starting.
Yeah, I'm ready to go, but I need a queue. A good afternoon to you all who have tuned in for the first round this season of the Formula SimRacing ACE competition. We're starting off in Australia like we supposed to do. I mean, that's my personal opinion. And we have at the moment 22 drivers here, all claiming the bragging rights, hopefully in the end. But first things first, qualification is going underway. We're in Q1. It's going to be 20 minutes long. Unlimited laps or whatever, and hopefully a high sense of competition. Next to me is Jeroen Kweekel. Wave to the crowd, Jeroen.
Yeah, I'll do a quick wave to you all.
Yay.
Chris, thanks for that wonderful introduction. Here we are again then. I mean, after so many months, we are back. And wasn't it a little bit too long, Chris?
It has been.
Or
long,
did you enjoy the break as well?
I did enjoy the break. I mean, I obviously had a long break myself, but no, I did enjoy it personally because the winter here was not that harsh. We didn't have much cold, so that's a good stuff. But no, I'm really happy we're racing again, and the stakes are high, the grids are filled, and also the names are well, not the least, so to speak. And I'm just really happy to go racing again.
Yeah, as you said, we are back racing again. It's a new season, season 16 of the Formula SimRacing series, which started in 2001. But of course, in 2014 we had a massive change with going from rFactor 1 to rFactor 2. But this year we've got a change as well. Some viewers may have already noticed we are driving with a bit of a different sound. It's not like the V8s which we were used to seeing last year. We've got the 2015 spec car, so to say. At least the mod is based on that. So of course we've got the V6 sound as well coming to that in the V6 engine. Now, Chris, this car, would you say it's a little bit more technical because of that as well, and a little bit more advanced compared to last year?
Yeah, it's definitely more technical. You obviously have the boost setting. You have two engine settings that you can control during the race, during qualify, whatever. And boost 1 is giving you just the normal spec, and boost 2 gives you a lot more power, like 80-90 horsepower, but also consumes a lot more fuel and engine wear. So you have a lot more aspects to take into consideration. And in the end, the formula has changed a little bit, and the driving has become a little bit more technical. But I do think I've been driving this mod tremendously a lot lately, and it's not easy to drive. Definitely in qualification with the boost setting on max, you will see a lot of fluctuations in the positions this season. And personally, I think it's pretty nice. I love the V8s, V10s more, but for this mod, I think it's gonna be a hell of a lot of fun.
Very nice to hear indeed. So the age format for this year: Q1, Q2, warm-up race. That's standard, of course. But the qualifying formats have changed a little bit. For example, Q1 is 20 minutes, Q1 is 10 minutes. And the Park Fermé gets immediately enabled in Q1 already. So before you would hear us talking a little bit like, oh, he's running low radiator, low ducts in Q1. Surely the Q2 time will be a little bit slower. I doubt we'll see much of that this year with the new qualifying rules then.
Indeed, and we just got the first lap and the second one. Samuel Carpenter opened the dance with a 28.3, a little bit disappointing if you ask me. Hopefully he will say the same. Mike Partington though is stopping it at the moment with a 26.8, instantly showing a nice pace there. But I saw the times in the practice, and let me tell you, that's just a banker lap for Mike, and that's good as well. That's a little bit troubling exit there. Going over the curb, actually messed up the lap of Daniel Brewer, I believe, or maybe Brewer just crossed the start-finish line. I have no idea. But yeah, the lap times are pouring in, and I do think we have to look onto the 27.0 mark already for maybe getting a spot into Q2. A little bit early day to call that out, but I think the amount of grip on the track will improve, the amount of track time for these guys. They're getting into the zone, and I think 27.0 is a pretty realistic prediction for the Q2 spot.
Yeah, well said. Of course, the rubber will become more and more laid down on the track. 20-minute long qualifying session. That's quite long, I would say. Hence the reason why you also said they get into the groove towards the end a little bit more, of course, as they drive and drive, get more driving time. We'll see maybe a few low 26s from some people in qualify. Oh, sorry, in the practice, Mitchie Hoyer in fact said 26.4, so that's a relatively low 26. So the pole time, I would expect it would be something around there. A bit of a weather report as well, of course. ACE, the division, has got dynamic weather.
Yeah.
Currently it's 19 degrees on the server, so not all that much, and there's a very low chance of rain. There is a slight chance of rain, but I doubt we'll see anything here in Melbourne.
Would be an awesome spectacle though to have the season opener at Australia pouring with rain at lap 30.
I have to agree on that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm thinking about DeWalt now again doing a rain dance. I mean, if you're watching DeWalt, just start already. It might have any effect. No, but I mean, it would be really nice. I mean, we have done a test race with FSR with this mod in the rain in Catalonia, and the tire management there is a lot more different. If you slide 2 or 3 times during a lap, you can pit after 2 or 3 laps again because your tires are completely, ruined and wrecked. So I would definitely encourage to see some rainy races this year, and I'm sure we are going to have it, but maybe not today, but we'll see.
Exactly. Maybe not today, but maybe a little bit later.
Yeah, last year it was only Spa, I believe.
Yeah, in ACE it was in Spa.
Only
yes,
one
in
race.
WC we haven't seen a single wet race so far.
Sniff. So Giordano Valeriano is actually putting a better time on the board. Oh, and as I speak, Paschalis Gergis opens his first real flying lap, proper flying lap with a 26.7. I still think these guys are maybe a little bit tense or something like that, because it's nothing like we have seen in the practice, but yeah, maybe they have to just get a little bit more in the groove. Well, they have 13.5 minutes to do so we're not even halfway yet, and that's also nice as a driver to know that you have, a little bit of extra time. Last year it was 15 minutes to set your laps, and gives you a little bit more room.
Yes, Mike Partington just crossed the line to finish his second lap, 26.6 dead. He's being closely followed though by Alvaro Torres, 200ths of a second, so relatively close. Few lap times are pouring in. Of course, is there anyone who hasn't set a lap time yet? Yes, the answer to that is Luka Oslakovic and Prieto. Prieto hasn't gone out at all yet, so maybe we'll see.
He is on the track now, and to be honest, he has a really nice car. Looks a little bit like that McLaren livery beginning
nice.
early
Yeah,
90s,
indeed.
or maybe 95. But yeah, good job from him. Well, Luka Oslakovic puts himself on a P9, 27.5. And at the moment, P10, Timo Valkejärvi, 27.6. That is the cutoff. That's gonna increase, decrease, however you want to look at it, but it's gonna get faster than that.
Relatively busy right now out on track. All cars are out, having a few issues here and there. Some people have with the traffic, especially in Sector 1. Sometimes a bit tricky to get out of the way, but I haven't seen any major incidents or anything like that. Of course, these guys know what to do and they know what they are doing. 12 minutes to go. You said it before, Chris. The cutoff time currently at 27.6 from Timo Valkejärvi. That's surely going to come down maybe to that 27.0 mark, which you have mentioned before. We aren't even halfway through the session yet, of course.
Indeed. And what I do have to say, and what I do like about this mod especially, is that last year you saw a lot of people who were missing the apex a little bit and still could put up nice times, and they didn't use all the space on the track. This year's mod is really important to aim your steering points not only on your tire wear, but in general. I mean, you lose so much time if you're just a little bit offline, because the whole power implication on towards the track is completely different with this mod, and obviously the turbo has a lot more torque. So you have to take that into effect. So I do think that we will see the qualified battles being on again, and it's nice that we have unlimited laps for, I believe, 10 or 15 minutes in Q2. So that's gonna be awesome.
So these guys obviously running in qualifying trim right now. Boost to two DRS zones around this track, down the main straight and from the straight from turn 2 down to turn 3. Paschalis Gerg is currently on his lap, just completed the first sector as a little bit of a guy in front of him who was on his out lap. This is quite busy. Alvaro Torres in the meantime has gone rather quickly. 2 purple sector types for him in the first and second sector.
Looking good.
Exactly, having a look at Torres, a little bit of a lock up into turn 13. Partington in the meantime has improved as well, but he is not quite on the level of Alvaro Torres, who comes around the penultimate corner right now. It's a little bit of a slide, tries to turn it around there. Does so well on getting on the power out of the final corner though. Definitely we will see him improving here, I think. There we go.
Nice time.
Very nice time. 26.358 from him. As Partington abandoned his lap, so he made a mistake before. It means that Torres has got a 2.5 tenth advantage right now. Very nice lap from him.
Yeah, and it's now time to see who will get their reference points shaken up a little bit, because during the track development, when the grip is being laid down, you obviously can brake a little bit later, get on the power a little bit earlier. But you know, are you able to put those reference points, those new reference points, into your mind? Because it's so hard if you have tested so much and you know you have this reference that you can go through this corner like that, and you know, and the others are just flying around you.
Well said. And even with the dynamic weather as well. I mean, sometimes the clouds are in front of the sun and you can take a shadow as a braking mark, for example. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it's epic. I really think that we made the right decision going to rFactor 2, and you know, other games are just not that compatible already for the amount of realism we require. And hopefully these guys are keeping it real as well today, and I'm sure they are going to be. But yeah, the stakes are so high. I've spoken to a lot of drivers and they're like, I don't expect much. It's the first race, you know, want to temper the expectations. But you know, still, each one of them wants to win in the end. But yeah, there's always that turn 1 incident where you can't avoid anything, and there go 500-600 laps down the drain. Because Australia is that moment in the year where everyone tested quite, you know, the most, because the build-up is the longest and the hype is the biggest. So I'm pretty curious to see what these guys will do. But we shouldn't look too much into the future. There are still 8 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock remaining. And at the moment the P10 spot is being occupied by Christian Bufumu, doing a 27.335. And yeah, with 8 minutes to go, let's see who will be the quickest. Michi Hoyer still has like 4 or 5 tenths to spare if we compare his practice time. So I wonder what's holding him back. Maybe a little bit of tension there. Don't see much different names compared to last year in terms of who's competitive and who's not. But yeah, it's nice nice to see some variations in the teams, at least in the top 10. I do think that the quality of the field compared to last year has gone up a little bit in terms of competitiveness, and you know, everyone has had their good and bad result last year, and you know, the unknown drivers from 2 years ago are, you know, maybe becoming legends this year. So it's nice to see that shift.
Yeah, we see a new team in as well, Bram GP, who has made his return. Currently, the Angelis driving for them is in 5th, and looking further down the list, is that the only driver for Bram GP? It is actually.
Yeah, it is. Next week, in 3 or 4 weeks, when we have the next race, we will unveil the second driver.
Very nice.
I'm sure he's watching now with a big smile. But yeah, it's nice to see that Bram GP is back. Of course, we have seen it in WC in 2013, I believe.
A long way back.
Yeah. And obviously Ernesto De Angelis, who didn't race a single Grand Prix the past years, I believe. He was obviously the world champion in 2002. Or yeah, 2002, I believe. I asked him this afternoon and he replied with 1872. Obviously, it's a long time ago, but he was one of the first WC champions. He's now like 40 years old and still driving strong here. So that's really nice.
Indeed, very, very nice to see. You like to see those kind of things also with Blair Disley, of course.
Yeah, he's a legend as well.
He has
If
the
you're
nickname
listening,
veteran.
Blair, I hope you're competitive here. Sorry for undercutting you, but
No,
I
go
have
ahead.
to spread my enthusiasm for Blair. He's like a living fossil in FSR.
Yeah, as you said, his nickname is the FSR veteran, you know, as you like to call him. So there we go. Andrew Toussey is another new name, by the way. He's currently in 18th with a 27.7. And Buffon still in that 10th spot with a 27.3. We are looking right now, of course, at that 10th spot, as we only have 5 more minutes to go, and most people will start their final couple of runs right now. Probably 2 more runs, maybe 3 if you're right now at the end of your lap.
I do see a lot of aborted laps, though. I mean, Paschalis as well. He needed 3 laps. He crashed 1 or 2 times just to get the feeding right. The boost setting is giving an extra advantage or disadvantage if you manage to get it right or wrong. It's absolutely epic, and trust me, this may be coming from DeJong, but maybe I should ask you, Kweekel. If you put your boost on during the Q2 lap or Q1 lap, doesn't matter, how hard is it to drive from a scale from 1 to 10? To get a perfect lap with the boost continuously on?
10 being the hardest?
Yeah.
7.
Okay, well... Okay, tomorrow Kweekel is definitely going for podiums. You heard it here first. But yeah, to me it's next to undrivable. But yeah.
Ooh, Partington spins. Partington out of the final corner. And you said it before, Chris. We see a lot of abandoned laps.
Yeah,
also from Paschalis. There's another guy, Mike Partington, who spun on the exit of the final corner. I was watching him. He did a relatively stable lap. And then you find yourself with a face full of barriers.
Yeah, but last year you would never see that of him. And also not from Paschalis, you know? And not saying anything negative about them, but the mod has gone... The difficulty factor has gone up a little bit since last year. So Brewer now completing his lap, setting at 27.119, putting him P9 at the moment. Craig Baxter still is in P10 with a 204. So we're getting close to the 27.0 mark, but I don't know if these guys are going to make it. 3 minutes 25 on the clock remaining and counting down.
Yes, currently there's only Christoph Schauer who is on a lap time. He's in 8th place, or currently on a hot lap I should say. Hoyer as well behind him. So a lot of people are going to start their lap at about the same time. So I expect a lot of times being pumped in at the end of at the end of these laps in about a minute or so. Christoph Schauer first though, improved in the first sector, a little bit slower in the second sector, and he's gone off as well. On the exit of the quick left-right chicane in the middle sector, he spins. So that's another guy who we have seen making a mistake.
A lot of those, and I think we can expect the same in WC actually, because everyone wants to go for that limit, and if you can save 2/10 during your quali lap, any driver would say I'm gonna lose 2/10 if I didn't drive on the max. So let's see if Mike Partington can do a better job this time around. He just started a flying lap, and he is hopefully going places. At least he's still he is already in P2, so doesn't have anything to fear.
Yeah, so in case you just tuned in, we have got 2 boosts for this year, just to make it extra clear. Boost 1 and Boost 2. And it's basically those rFactor boosts, Most people playing rFactor will know about it. Boost 2 gives you more horsepower, but does more damage to the engine and consumes more fuel. And that's basically it. So there is a little bit of freedom in the races as well, of course, to play with fuel. You can start with a tank which is less filled, but you aren't allowed to use Boost 2 that often, of course, compared to when you completely would fill it up.
And by the way, real Formula 1 fact, Mercedes Grand Prix have agreed to allow the other teams around them, Red Bull, Ferrari, Renault, everyone, to increase their full fuel flow with 2%. I just wanted to share that. That's a nice gesture from Mercedes. So maybe we will see a little bit more competitive real Formula 1 field as well. Obviously that circus is going to unfold next week. But at the moment, these guys on track are definitely not thinking about that. They're thinking about, I have 1 minute to go and I don't yet have that perfect lap in the box. Still, Craig Baxter is safe at the moment on P10. A lot of guys on track.
The line. Partington 300s down on Alvaro Torres. Greg Baxter isn't on for an improvement at the moment. Neither is Daniel Brewer. Behind him, Christian Bufumo is on the lap. I don't think he would be able to go a little bit further up the field unless he has a brilliant final sec. Let's have a look for Christian Bufumo coming out of the final corner. As the DRS, of course, wide open for the short run to the line. Can he do it? Oh, he does actually do it. Fantastic final sector. Fantastic final sector from him.
Instantly crashes his car. Now it's all eyes on Sander Callas, at least for me. The rest is pretty much done. Sander Callas being in P12. Can he be the one to knock Christian Bufumo out of the Q2?
Well, he's got 10 seconds to get to the line because that was his out lap. He will start his lap right now, so he's got that timed perfectly.
Like Mohammed Patel last year.
Exactly, yeah. So turn 1 for Sander Callas, and he's the only one who could still come up the field. Also for Viktor Ivanov, who was on the lap too. So keep an eye out on those guys.
You never know.
Prieto is on the lap too, I believe. Prieto has gone up to 16th. For 27.4. And Viktor Ivanov has abandoned his lap, so it's really all eyes on Sander Callas right now.
Yeah, definitely. And Luka Oslakovic, he lost his time for some reason. I have seen him earlier on in the top sheets. Well, never mind that then. Sander aborting his lap as well. Bye-bye, zwaai there. Unfortunate for him. Maybe he didn't feel like it after seeing the split into Sector 1. But yeah, nevertheless, Ruud Heesterbeek crossing start-finish line improves like half second, but it will only gain him 2 places. The midfield is pretty much packed together, and maybe Luka Oslakovic can put himself into a nice position here. Don't understand the situation with him, why his time was removed, but maybe he cut it or whatever. He did reconnect the server. So, only 1 lap and he spins as well. Carries on though. But that's definitely not going to be a Q2 spot. Unless he has Wangler.x. No, it's not 28.6, so he will start dead last this race. And we have our first Q2 list of the season. It consists of Alvaro Torres in P1, Mike Partington P2, Paschalis Gerges P3, Valeriano P4, Brewer P5, Ernesto De Angelis in P4, Michi Hoyer in P7, Thomas Sadderly P8, Christoph Schroer in P9 and Bufumo in P10. Obviously Craig Baxter is swearing a lot in Scottish right now because he just got short with the blink of an eye. But yeah, nevertheless the difference has to be there. And now it's time to see who will get the first pole position of the year. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, Sander Callas being behind Craig Baxter, of course, to mention those two. They came up from Pro last year and drive this year in the ACE Series, barely missing out on the top 10 spot.
Yeah. Yeah, still Christoph Schroer, he drove Pro last year as well. And I believe Daniel Brewer as well, didn't he? Or did he do ACE?
No, Brewer was in WC actually.
Yeah, a few races indeed, but
yeah,
he always did a nice job, so not surprising to see him on P5 being competitive and all. So now it's time to shine.
It is time to shine indeed. 10 drivers here, and we have got 10 minutes? Yes, it is 10 minutes, I believe. So who is going to take pole out of these guys? That is the question. Most of them already at the pit exit light, of course, staring at it and waiting for it to turn green.
Well, I'm hoping for Alvaro Torres. Is that because he's in a Networks car? That's definitely the reason. So, no, but may the best man win. I mean, I can be happy for others as well. And by the looks of it, Alvaro and Mike Partington have got themselves a nice battle on their hands. So, maybe Paschalis and Giordano can mix in between that. But they have to find at least a little bit more than 2 or 3 tenths in order to do that.
You may notice as well that some cars actually sound a little bit different. That's because the driver has got a choice to pick an engine, basically, an engine sound. So we've got Mercedes, Ferrari, Honda and Renault, I believe.
And who do you think the majority chose?
I think Honda, actually.
It is.
Yes, most people went for Honda.
No, but I was like, oh, the crowd must be thinking, well, Mercedes, obviously, or Ferrari, you know. But no, going for that Honda, man.
Yeah, of course the performance is the same. The sound is the only thing that is different. I mean,
Yeah.
we get at least I see a lot of questions from people who are like, has FSR got equal performance, so to say, in the cars itself? Well, yes, they do. The only difference is really down to the driver and the setup he makes.
Yeah, because if you're driving with the Ferrari sound or the Mercedes sound, and you wouldn't have any notice of the speed and judging the sound, you would think you would go, I don't know, 0 to 100 in 10 seconds or something. I mean, for me, there's like no sense of power in the sound like you would have with the V8. But yeah, the Honda sound also in real Formula One last year, it wasn't that as competitive, but it definitely sounded the nicest and a little bit louder than the rest, and that's the same here. So obviously, a lot of drivers like a little bit more sound. And yeah, it would be impossible to drive without sound in any car. Definitely an important factor. Now the most important factor here is who will get pole position. Mike Partington is looking bright as a spark into sector 1.
Torres is looking a little bit brighter already. Found
Yeah.
2 tenths in the first sector straight away on Partington.
Indeed, but Mike is that kind of guy that likes to have a banker lap in before he's going rogue. But I think it's 5 minutes, by the way.
Yeah, it is 5 minutes. I made a mistake there. Excuse me.
Yeah, you're fired. No. Sorry, old DeJong coming up there. But so they can do 2 flying laps if they're quick, and if they're cocky, they're gonna stay in and just do 1 lap, and put up an ultimate BM there. But no, it's time to see what they have done. Mike Partington crossing start-finish line in about 8 seconds time. Not long after that, it's Alvaro Torres his turn. And then instantly pressing escape in order to try again. 26.7 for Mike and a 26.5 for Alvaro. That's looking nice. Paschalis Gerges had to abort his lap yet again. Daniel Brewer 26.8, Christoph Schauer 27.4. Valeriano now 26.9. And Ernesto De Angelis, there we go, 27.2. Christian Befubel crossing start-finish line, and he puts up a 27.2 as well. So 3 drivers had to abort their lap, and Michi Hoyer actually had 2 failed attempts. So yeah, I think ACR has a little bit more difficulty into driving this car on the limit with the boost setting on in Q2 or Q1 than others might experience. Still, there's time to spare. Alvaro Torres didn't bother to go out.
Yes. Now I wanted to say something. Torres actually went out, then went into the first corner, didn't look in his mirror, and someone was on his lap, and someone actually hit him on the pit exit who was on a hot lap. And thanks to that, Torres isn't able to set a lap time right now because he went out. I think he would have been in time to cross the line, but of course, because of the crash and because of the incident, he cannot set another lap time right now.
I'm gonna look up in the replay what happened.
It was in turn 1. Anyway, Michi Hoyer starting his lap then. Of course, we expect quite a lot from him as well. Michi Hoyer has set a 26.4 in the practice session already. Didn't really show that much pace in Q1. But maybe here in Q2 he can set the world on fire, so to say. Coming into turn 3 pretty nicely there on the brakes. And then turns 4, 5 and 6 to round up the first sector. He's aiming for a low 29. We have seen a 29.2 from Alvaro Torres already. Let's have a look at what Hoyer can do. He does a 29.5, so immediately lost 3 times in that first sector, and Hoyer's gonna have to do everything to set a lap time which is close to pole even.
Yeah, and Daniel Brewer will be the last guy to make a lap count. I mean, he literally crossed the finish line when the flag was, barely out, like literally 1 second to spare. But all eyes on Mike at the moment. But I do have to say that Daniel is, if he gets 1 or 2 tenths each sector, then he can get pole position as well. I did see the replay of Alvaro, and it was absolutely ridiculous, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got some sort of punishment for that, because that's racing 101. Nevertheless, it can happen to the best. Even Michael Schumacher crashing on the warm-up lap with a Minardi in Malaysia, so...
There we go.
Michi Hoyer, P5, 27.0, so reasonable job from him.
Then next to cross is Savely. Immediately behind that will be Paschalis. Mike Partington has done fastest sector in the middle sector, by the way. He's on for an improvement. Good challenge of our Torres towards the end of the lap. Let's have a look at Thomas Everly first though. 27.1 from him. Straight away behind that Paschalis Gergis does a 26.8.
Mike
There goes
takes
Partington. Indeed. Very, very well done from Mike Partington. He was also the last guy to cross the line. And it was the second sector and the third sector which did it. Purple times for him over there. He was 1.5 tenths down at the end of the first sector, but made it all up in the second and third sector. And Partington takes the first pole of the season.
Yeah, congrats to him, and definitely took some courage to go flat out in the sector 2 and 3. And yeah, that's the difference between Paul. He already had P2, so he had nothing to lose anymore. But definitely a nice sense of driving there from young Brit. Now it's time for warm-up. Time to grab your popcorn for the turn 1. Maybe even a warm-up lap issue there. I have no idea. But it has to be said that it's the first year of the first race of the year. And people might be a little bit rusty. But I definitely hope everyone gets through safe and sound into turn 1 and lap 1.
Big shame of our Torres, of course, that he couldn't set a lap time. Who knows, maybe he could have improved, but of course that's always speculating towards the end of a session like that.
Yeah, well, I think it was really stupid what he did there, and he ruined up the lap as well from, I believe, Valeriano or Bufumu, so yeah, that's pretty serious.
So 10-minute warm-up session. We've talked about it a lot before as well, haven't we, Chris? What's the purpose of this warm-up lap?
Get your popcorn, go to the
warm-up
toilet.
session, I should say. Go to the toilet, indeed, for the spectators it is.
Yeah, that's my perspective. I mean, we're spectators here. Now, for them, it's for the drivers, it's obviously getting into the rhythm. You just had the qualification. You have to switch with those reference points again, with the braking, with everything, with the boost setting. So it's getting into that flow as soon as possible. Some drivers might need a little bit of practice. Others might do 1 or 2 laps and think, okay, I'm maybe getting a 5-minute meditation session or whatever. Anything to get you into the zone and ready for the race. Alvaro is driving, being Spanish and all. Might do a little bit of a siesta. I've heard that Spanish people like siestas, so you never know. I'm being absolutely ridiculous here, but no, I'm pretty curious to see what these guys will show us, and if they are gonna show us their full potential in these opening warm-up laps. It's maybe giving a little bit strategic advice to the enemy, but yeah, in the end, who cares? As long as you're the fastest, then it doesn't matter. So pretty curious to see who will start the race with their boost setting on or off. Obviously, if you have a lot of buttons on your steering wheel, you can apply it as easily, well, the blink of a switch. Others might have the problem of, you know, getting the keyboard involved or other Logitech shifting pad or something like that, like me. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. I have heard that some WC drivers say they don't even need the tank to be completely filled. Obviously, giving a hint that they won't use any boost during the race, because the fuel consumption is quite dramatically bigger. Most likely like 1 or 2 liters a lap if you drive with boost fully on, maybe even 3. But yeah, it's interesting to see, and I'm really wondering who will have a boost calculated setup with maybe only putting the boost on the straights, or who will have a driest of the driest tank as possible and just drive it straight from there.
Chris, there has been a question for you actually in the comment section.
Ah.
Of course, you are going to drive tomorrow in Pro,
Yes.
making sort of your debut there after last year.
After 4 years, I drove pro in 2012.
Okay, well then it's a little bit of a return. Now we've got basically two questions. Firstly, Chris, what were your first thoughts after these cars? So basically, how did you look at it when you heard about it, and how do you look at it now? And then how do you see your chances tomorrow actually?
The first thought, it was like, okay, this is seriously getting shitty and crap and whatever. I mean, I personally don't like the V6 module. I don't think it's in the right direction where Formula 1 is going. And we shouldn't be sheep herding around it. Fortunately, David Greco and a lot of other guys made the mod really competitive. And in the driving aspect, I think it's nice. In terms of real racing aspect, I pretty much hate it. But the cars are pretty fun to drive. And I hope that answered your question. Being honest here. But no, I'm actually a pretty fan of the mod at the moment. And my chances for tomorrow are, well, optimistic. You have to get that mentality in order to get into the zone, and my zone is being competitive at the moment. I'm aiming high, and I'm pretty much aiming for a podium at least. So that's great banter for you guys if I crash turn 1. But no, but I'm definitely aiming for a podium.
That is very nice to hear. So expect DeJong tomorrow to get a podium, perhaps. Would be,
expect me.
Would be very nice.
But I do have a lot of problems since I can't operate the boost. I have to drive fully on the entire lap, and that's a little bit tricky in some corners. You know, I can't switch it off or whatever. Okay. So yeah, we will see. But in Pro, we will only have 1 lap in Q2. So, but what about your expectations? Before we go back to the action, are you gonna have any podium chances tomorrow, you think, in WC, in the King's class, where I would still come P15?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, so expect I wanted to say Ghost Speed. Sorry, Ghost Speed. Sorry, Cuba, if you're watching. You're obviously watching Driving with Cuba. But back to the action, indeed. Alvaro Torres is driving his laps. Almost had a tire on top of his helmet. Actually not making any jokes right there. There was a car crashing right in front of him. Giving us maybe another thing to talk about, the halos on Formula 1 cars. What do you think about that, Jeroen? I know you're not a fan about the V6. You actually stopped watching because of it. But, you know, what do you think about the halos?
Stupid. Stupid, yeah.
Indeed. Amen. I mean, it's, you know, that accident of Bianchi was definitely a freak accident, and we didn't have any fatalities before that, only marshals, you know. But who cares about marshals? You know, it's like nothing changed back then. But you know, one driver died, and everybody loses their minds. But
exactly, I think that's it. I mean, the whole situation is so much exaggerated.
Yeah, but it was so unfortunate. If he, you know, drove off a millisecond earlier or later, the line was different. That tow car that Bianchi hit it even moved 10 yards to the front 5 seconds prior to the impact. So, you know, it's actually a freak accident. If he hit it frontally, then, you know, we would just step out right there. But, you know, it's that thing that can happen. And with the halo design, you would still have a lot of space where something bad could happen as well. You might decrease the potential of it, but then you can just drive with closed cockpits and whatever, and then, you know, I mean, and then still with cars with lower downforce and whatever. Wasn't it at the Nürburgring last year on the Nordschleife where a car went into the spectators?
Oh, yeah, could be.
The spectator died.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You know, all these drivers know what they're getting into once they step into the car.
Yeah, but Halo or not, the fact is that F1 has been, you know, free from death, so to say, from driver's perspective for 20 years. The cars are not the issues. The cars are safe.
Exactly.
I can guarantee you that. But a freak accident like Bianchi, which you see once in 2 billion years, can make people so crazy all of a sudden that everything needs to change. When you look at before, the cars were safe. The cars are not the problem. The problem was, even with the accident of Bianchi, was the surroundings of the track. In this case, it was a tractor.
And that's indeed. And that's the thing with fear, you know, it creates borders. up to the moment where some people are afraid to leave their houses because they watch the news all the time and think that's the world. But not getting into philosophy here, we're about to go racing. But indeed, and that's the same thing with V6s, you know. We want to save money, so let's develop a complete new engine and whatever. You know, when I grew up, Formula 1 was going to the maximum. The perfect engine lasted 306 kilometers, you know. That was it. You would have 4 engines, one during practice, one during practice 2, and 3 and 4. And then you would have one specially prepared engine for the qualify, and then you would have one engine for the race. You know, and that was it.
Everyone is like, let's cut costs and create a new 8-speed gearbox.
It has been a little bit of an endurance race, you know, and that was my fear as well. Now that I say it, that we would see a lot of endurance style racing here. You know, but it's still going to the maximum, but in a different aspect, you know, with the boost setting. And, you know, personally, I would say, you know, remove the entire dirty air, you know, but because it's still like driving in a little bit of a small wall if you drive behind someone, and it will ruin your tires. And, well, in the end, that's ruining the aspect for the viewers to watch. And we want to see nice, realistic racing, but, you know, driving into a wall like this, if you're a little bit behind someone, you know, it's not so realistic in my opinion, but it's only an opinion. Nevertheless, 15 seconds are remaining in the warm-up session, and we are about to start the light sequence where we will get underway. Nice practice times here. Paschalis Gerges shows that he can do a 30.162 with supposedly a full fuel tank or close to 130 liters at least. And the rest is a little bit struggling to follow his lead. But like I said earlier, Mike Partington doing a 31.8, he might not show his full potential. He's a sneaky Brit, that. I mean, he doesn't want to show his full potential here, and he might show us some nice driving 101. Well, he already had the pole position, and he's gonna lead this grid, and then we will see from there. But I'm really anxious to get the circus underway, and I hope everyone's watching is as hyped as I am. And I know you are, Jeroen.
I definitely am. Temperature has dropped by 1 degree centigrade, so not a lot at all. Clouds are still forming though around the track, but I really don't see any rain falling for the entirety of the race. But maybe the weather gods will prove me wrong.
Well, I hope they do. But yes, it would be nice to have rain at every race, but it can shake things up a little bit. I mean, that's the perfect bit. And the setups being Parc Fermé, of course. I mean, driving with lower downforce than you would in the rain. I mean, it's a world of difference there. So, let's see. The grid is ready. The drivers are ready. We don't have any toilet excuses at the moment. I'm waiting anxiously.
Other than Van der Niet, who says wait a little second, so we shall do that and then get it on the way. For this year's car we have got launch control as well. I think, I may be wrong, but I think in Pro launch control is mandatory, and in ACE and WC it is free to use, but you aren't, it is mandatory to use it, but I may be wrong on that. I don't think launch control is mandatory for ACE.
Alright.
And that is right. Okay, so the President Christopher Kopp confirming that. So Pro is the only division where we will see every single car hopefully launching the car with or driving off with launch control.
Well, so it's not allowed? I missed it a little bit. Is it allowed to do use launch control in ACE?
Pro is the only series which is mandatory. So
yeah,
in
okay.
ACE and WC,
so
you
it's
can
still
use
allowed.
it or you have the choice whether you want to use it basically.
Alright, fair enough. And I think that's a nice aspect as well. But just seemingly of coming out of the words on you is that you probably still use traction control, launch control. And why wouldn't you? And no comments. It's all okay, Jeroen. We will see tomorrow.
Do you want me to make a joke about a turtle now to offend you?
Sure. Offending is my decision.
Okay. That's true, actually.
That I was a turtle last year.
Nah, I'm not gonna say anything if you don't mind.
Now I'm curious, and I'm sure the crowd is as well. And
Nah,
I'm sure,
I was just heating up, between us. Maybe one day we'll meet each other on track and have a brilliant battle or something.
Oh, nice. Maybe karting or something.
Yeah, well, who knows? So a 58 lap long race. That's a 100% race distance, by the way, for this year in ACE. It used to be 80%, so it's gonna be a long race, of course. 58 laps, as I said. We'll see that tomorrow in WC as well. Do you know the race distance in Pro DeJong in terms of laps?
44.
44. There we go. That's a very blessed number. Paschalis Gerg is then topping the timesheets here with a 30.1. You have mentioned it before. Shower being up there as well, though, with a 30.4. Not bad at all.
I remember me saying a lot of times that in the beginning parts in the starting phase of the race, he always was quick in pro, and he tended to slide off a little bit when the race progressed. That's another thing, concentration. I mean, if you're 50% distance, you have to you have to keep your head focused, and sometimes your mind is just going on an automatic pilot, and you start thinking about things that have nothing in common in racing, and you wake up after half a lap. Oh shit, I'm driving, and it's purely unconsciousness that takes over then.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't. Let's just say that you will increase the gap of making mistakes there as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we will see how it ends up. I hope that Danny van der Niet will sort out his problems with the screen. Obviously, for a guy like that, we can wait a little bit. Not taking my words into account, but splendid, lovely guy. But let's see. It seems that we are already going up to the race. Danny is on the grid. That's good. Danny van der Niet actually won a race last year in Monza, race 2. Also a race winner, at the moment on P14. And a lot of race winners here that have won races in the past are finding themselves in new territory, like Sander Callas. Definitely a title contender last year in Pro, at the moment P12 in A. So, you can state or observe that the level of competition has grown a little bit for them, and should be an ace. So the field is underway. Let's see, obviously Mike Partington leading Alvaro Torres there. And Brewer, as ever, right behind that lot. Pretty curious to see where this will end. Hopefully it will be a Cinderella story here for the majority of drivers at least. Don't want to see anything foolish in the warm-up laps or anything, but these drivers are very professional. But like I said, some mistakes are meant to happen.
Everyone being on the option tire, the softer compound, except for Ivanov, Oslakovic and Prieto, I believe. Those guys are on the prime tire, the medium tire here for this weekend.
But where you qualify on in Q2, you have to start on as well, the compound, right?
Yep.
So that's a safe and sound deal for the top 10. Although I like the medium compound though, it's a good tire. So there we go, bothering on towards the grid. And everyone is making a run for it in the warm-up lap. It's actually a warm-up lap for my feeling, instead of a cool-down lap. So these guys keeping the pace. Fuel consumption is about 2 liters, 2.5 liters per lap if you don't count the boost in. If you use the boost, it's about 4 liters, 5 liters maybe even in the race set. So I'm so curious to see who will drive the first lap with boost, who will do anything, and those questions are about to be answered in a few seconds time, isn't it, Jeroen?
Indeed, a few seconds time, so Partington will find his grid slot first.
Yeah, and I'm wondering what you will say, because I'm hideous at these kind of moments. Too much tension here, so take us through it. I'm sure Gamosaurus is watching that with joy. But there we go. The start of the Formula SimRacing ACE Championship is getting underway, and Jeroen Kweekel here on the first lap of the race.
So here we go then, staring at those 5 lights as ever. The first round of the 2016 ACE Championship is about to get underway. It's Saturday, the 12th of March, and still we are staring at those lights. Partington, of course, will be stationary for quite long.
I think Paschalis isn't locked in.
We may see some engines smoking, and it's indeed taking a rather long time.
Paschalis isn't properly lined up, I believe. And we already see engines smoking indeed. This is not good for the drivers, not good for their tension, their adrenaline levels. And we have no lights whatsoever.
Must be a car indeed being wrongly lined up. According to you, it's
Paschalis. It's Paschalis.
A little bit too far into the front, you would say.
And too wide, yeah.
So you see a few cars right now repositioning their car as well. Of course, this does a lot of engine damage, so to say, because it heats up as it's
Paschalis
stationary.
is moving his car now.
Paschalis indeed moving. Maybe we see the lights coming on then as well.
This should be restarted. This isn't even fair anymore. I mean, those engines are wearing. They're air cooled, like we all know, and they're just burning up right now.
Oh, here we go. We see lights, actually 3 lights indeed. Those lights are coming on. We've got 5 red lights right now. Excuse me. And we're off the line. With Partington having a great start. Daniel Brewer is off the line very nicely as well. No kind of position changes coming into the first corner. 3 wide into the first corner actually. With Paschalis, Brewer, and Valeriano. Valeriano takes them all. Valeriano moves himself up to P3. A fantastic start from Valeriano. Alvaro Torres pressuring Partington. Alvaro Torres on the inside of turn 3. Partington having to make very late, and then he actually goes off the track in turn 3. It's got to rejoin, of course, but will be all the way down the field indeed. No kind of big incidents so far yet, apart from Partington going off track. Of course, the brakes were still cold, and Alvaro Torres taking him. Valeriano himself up to second then, fantastic start by him. Brewer being pressured by Mitchie Hoyer, who has also had a fantastic start. Hoyer could move himself up into P3 right here, on the inside of Brewer. And they are still side by side, a fantastic battle between Brewer and Hoyer. Still side by side.
And Georg Jatsepantelis goes full retard, sorry to say. He just drove into the crowd, he's lagging like ever. I hope nobody got hurt by that, but that looked insanely. Giuseppe Lino spins as well. He's basically out of the race, but no major incident indeed.
So Hoyer then up into P3, fantastic for him. He started in P6, gained 3 positions. Valeriano as well, who started in 5th, he gained 3 positions too. First lap of the race is a fact though, with Torres leading it. I heard more crashes however.
Yeah, it's absolutely an epic start of the race with Alvaro.
Partington 14th.
That's not good for Mike. But he can do it, he still has the pace. But Alvaro Torres is gone, he's already 2.5 seconds into the lead after the first lap of the race. Definitely really shitty start for Partington. And I don't think it was his fault, but I should watch it again before making any judgments. Anyway, he's making a run for it now behind Leitner. But he finds himself in a big train of cars here, and he has a lot of work in front of him to do.
Yeah, Victor Ivanov has retired with suspension damage. He must only retire after lap 1, or the retirement I should say. Valeriano, however, is already 3.2 seconds behind Alvaro Torres. So Torres absolutely flying here on this first lap already, and also opening up the second lap. He created a gap of 7 tenths just in one sector alone.
Yeah. And Giuseppe Lino is into the pit, stationary. Guillermo Prieto is, well, in the pit, but I don't see him being jacked up or anything. Luka Oslakovic just left the pit, and I don't know what's going on with Georg Jatsepantelis, but he's lagging insanely hard. And a minute ago or 1 lap ago, it just looked like he, without braking, just ran into a pile of cars there. Maybe it was the lag, but that looked definitely insane. Fortunately, no big DNF, so it must have been the lag. Excuse me then for George, but that looked rather insane.
Ping about 500 to 600 atoms, which is just too much. Is Prieto also retired?
He has 500-600 ping?
Yeah, he had it.
Pantelis?
Yeah.
That's a little bit...
You're
becoming a danger on the track as well.
He's now down to 81 though, so somehow it's improving for him, which is good. But in the middle of the lap it went to 700.
Yeah, Paschalis now knocking into the door at Valeriano's address. And obviously this is definitely what Alvaro Torres wants. 2 cars fighting behind him. And Paschalis has to worry now that he will leave a little bit of a gap in order to avoid tire degradation. He has a teammate right behind him. So yeah, they can work together here. Brilliant spots to be in for ACR.
Yeah, definitely. But Valeriano being 1.5 seconds slower than Torres per lap, so it's of course way too much. And the gap is already 5 seconds even. It's insane to see. He lost another 8 tenths in the first sector alone, and of course it's hurting those ACR guys behind Valeriano.
I haven't seen the startup close up. I saw a lot of drives from P10, P12, you know, but I don't know if Valeriano has damage of some sort, because 1 second is a little bit too much.
That's a good point, actually.
We're 3 laps in and he's about to lose 6 seconds, so that's 2 seconds a lap. Maybe it's just the warm breath of Paschalis Gergis that keeps him out of focus. But yeah, it might be. Oh, Paschalis losing the car there!
Very close to losing it indeed.
Cat-like reaction there. He can open the DRS right now. And once again after this, and look at the difference it makes. We have no insight in whoever is using boost or who isn't. But yeah. There he goes again.
For Paschalis, indeed. Looking on the inside, but nope.
Ooh, and they almost hit. Valeriano is rather slow off the line. Or not off the line, but out of that corner. Seems like he has a little bit of a problem with traction.
Yeah, Brewer catching up to this train as well. Same for Severly and Befumo. It's insane to see the pace of Valeriano being so slow. Sorry to say, but it's true.
Unfortunately for him, still in P14 behind Leitner. So no big glory moment for him yet. And indeed, like you said, 7.4 seconds. It's insane.
Yeah, this is completely insane. 3 laps and 7.5 seconds. If you look at the track map, there's a massive string behind Valeriano. And
at this rate, Alvaro will lap everyone.
Yes, that is true.
That would be insane. No way that's gonna happen. And I think it's just a matter of time before Paschalis is passing Valeriano. Obviously,
yeah, go ahead.
Obviously the DRS will make a huge impact, but also the boost setting. But exactly. I don't know if Paschalis has the amount of fuel in his car. Obviously it's tempting, but you know, if you find yourself with 10 laps to go with 5 liters in your tank, you know you're gonna have a bad time.
So Valeriano immediately defending already down his main straight. He's got a really good run over here.
This is the boost and DRS here.
There we go. Paschalis Gergis being, you know, easily passed there.
Oh, and Michi almost losing the car in the dirty air there. Oh, this is insane driving from these guys. And fortunately for them, they're keeping it onto the limit. Now it's the turn of Michi Hoyer to make a run for it. But it's looking like Valeriano has some sort of a problem.
Yeah, this is too much of a gap, really. And let's see.
I'm already happy he's driving with all wings attached on his car.
Yeah, that's true.
No, joking there, Giordano.
So indeed, Paschalis, as you would expect, just pulls away from Valeriano immediately. Or you're being close behind him, of course, as well. He's the next guy who wants to pass. You've seen it with Paschalis how to do it. I was going to say that Paschalis had a really good chance on the lap before that as well, but he messed up by having a bad accident of the final corner.
Well, I have big news. And that is that Alvaro Torres has suspension damage. He is driving with a crooked steering wheel. And yet he's doing these lap times. Oh my god, it's like that Monza time where you would go quicker by a second if you didn't have a front wing. But look at the steering wheel, it's completely crooked.
Yeah, it's slightly off center to the left indeed.
Yeah, that's not looking healthy. Nevertheless, he has an 8-second lead over Paschalis and it just became 8.3. So
here comes Hoyer, by the way, on the inside of Valeriano. Outbreaks him, does he make the corner? Yes, he does. So Hoyer is passed, but pay attention to Valeriano in the slipstream. However, Valeriano will not have DRS,
Hoyer
I don't
has
believe.
DRS.
Exactly, Hoyer has got the DRS, and so Hoyer stays ahead indeed. Valeriano being bunked down to P4 then, with Brewer next to knock on the door.
Indeed, and Sadly behind that, and Befumo behind that, and Ernesto De Angelis behind that. It's all a big train right now, and that's not good for them. But it's good for us spectators here.
Exactly. And train goes on to P11, by the way, with Timo Valkejärvi being in the train too. So that's a really long train.
Well, Valeriano is seemingly to have a problem here. I cannot guess anything else than that. So unfortunate for him. But nevertheless, passing someone is another story. And maybe it's time for Paschalis to get a little bit closer to Alvaro if he has the pace.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye out on that, definitely.
And, Alvaro has got himself some suspension damage, but it's far from undrivable as we speak. He's still increasing his lead over Pash. So
would he possibly, sorry to say, but would he have possibly suspension damage because there may have been actually contact with Partington in that third corner?
Yeah, he did make contact. That's one thing.
Okay.
Otherwise, you wouldn't drive with a crooked steering wheel.
Yeah, exactly. But I was wondering whether it would come from that or from another kind of incident.
I haven't seen that, so.
No, exactly. Right, lap 6 then. Go ahead.
Yeah, 8/10 is the gap that Alvaro Torres took over Paschalis the past lap. So that's a little bit of a big gap as well. And still, Michi is not even close to Paschalis, so no dirty air for him. And yet he is struggling to hang on the line with his teammate. But at least they occupy both podium positions. Mike Partington finally overtook Norbert Leitner. Finds himself now in P13, but at this rate, one position every 6 laps. You can only expect him to be P6, P7 at the end of this. That's not what his pole position had in store. But unfortunately, fate decided otherwise for him.
It somehow seems like, I may be wrong, but it seems like Valeriano is somehow picking up the pace a little bit. Brewer doesn't seem to be as close as before, and Valeriano seems to be somewhat stabilizing the gap between himself and Michi Hoyer, in fact.
Well, that dirty air though. I see Mike Partington struggling as ever to just keep up to Sander Callas, whilst his pace suggested a far greater lap time than he's doing. So definitely dirty air spoiling the show right now. I mean, a little bit of influence isn't wrong, but guess we overtopped it a little bit. But it's all relative. I mean, the first time we drove rFactor in 2014, the rFactor 2, the dirty air was just driving into a wall. It was absolutely undrivable. So apart from that, it's compared to that, it's rather yeah, not present. But and I'm curious to see when we will see the first side of pit stops.
Around lap 10, I presume.
Yeah, I think you are bound to be right. We have seen the nice improvement on the HUD of the steering wheel, and that's done by, I believe, Chris Cobb. Yeah. That's definitely nice. It's sort of Mercedes AMG steering wheel there. But it shows us if anyone is going into the pit, if anyone is using DRS, if anyone is having a penalty. It clearly shows that on the HUD, so that's a nice admission to it.
Well spotted indeed. So, Brewer then behind Valeriano once again. Valeriano will not have DRS on Michi Hoyer. Brewer being this time a bit closer than he was before. Is he using Bustudo? Have a look at the top speed and it... I think he is.
The 301 for Michi?
No, Brewer.
Oh, Brewer. Oh, look at that. Ooh, he's sliding a lot. Like you said, Valeriano picked up the pace a little bit more. Maybe he had a little bit of a problem going into the zone, you never know. The field being relatively close together. I mean, if you don't count Alvaro, then from P2 to P13, it's only 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Of course, that's light years in racing, but that shows you that every car is around a second after the other. It shouldn't be like that all the race. I mean, obviously during the pit stops we will see the pack being shaken up a little bit. But I'm personally not a fan of train racing, Le Mans style, short shifting all the way, whatever. We have to be Formula 1, we have to go to the maximum at all costs. And yeah, it's now, tire management and fuel management, all those things. Hopefully they create some spectacle, and I'm definitely not bored watching this. but the train is a little bit unfortunate to have. Anyway, Michi Hoyer is getting close to Paschalis again.
Hoyer is the fastest guy on track right now, actually.
Yeah.
So maybe
With
we'll
DRS.
see a bit of team order here as well, perhaps, unless Paschalis, of course, wants to battle for it, which would be nice to see.
Sadly into the pit. He's the first guy out of the top 10 that's going on to other tires. Entering his pit box in 6th gear. Good job there, Thomas. Exiting in 3rd, 4th. Wow. Okay, so there we go. He stacks up. He goes out of the pit in P16, almost dead last. Got on fresh softs again. Softs and medium being the compounds here. And Valeriano actually taking a little bit more distance out of Brewer than the laps before. I don't think Brewer's in any way close to DRS range at the moment even.
No, he isn't. 1.3 seconds is the gap actually between them. And Bufumu himself too is starting to struggle a little bit. Can't keep up with Brewer either. Has got De Angelis behind him. Do we see anyone with a pit light on? Torres has not got it on. Neither has got Paschalis and neither has Hoyer.
Well, Brewer has got it on, I believe. He has a nice green stripe in his screen, so he might go into the pit this round or the round after.
That is indeed the pit in light, yeah.
So let's see, yeah, he's going in. There you go, Daniel. You will probably feed out around Danny van der Niet, Thomas Sadderly. A lot of guys following now. Bufumu into the pit as well. Ernesto De Angelis, Greg Baxter. Everyone is in. Nobody's sharing a pit. And Mike Partington is into the pit as well. Smart move for a guy in his position. During the exit, that's going barely right, but it's going right. That's the most important thing. Samuel Carpenter actually sharing a pit box. This is horror for him and Danny van der Niet. Danny van der Niet being the better of the side and exiting first. But that, I don't know if it created a little bit of damage, but it was far from pleasant. So Daniel Brewer actually out in P10 because of those train of pit stops that followed him as well. And still the top 10, Alvaro Torres has his pit light on. Paschalis does not, so Michi Hoyer has. Valeriano has not again, so different strategy.
Sound muted. Sound
Definitely
resumed.
lose the lead to Paschalis Gerges for the time being. Obviously that gap will definitely put him into P1 virtually.
Yeah, both ACRs are keeping on going, so does Valeriano. Torres in the pit lane, as you have mentioned, going onto the medium tire.
Yeah. Well, Hoyer and Paschalis, Gerges and Hoyer both have their pit lights on now. Hopefully they don't share their pit box as we have seen with Van der Niet and Carpenter just a minute ago. That was definitely something. So Daniel Brewer now behind Thomas Sadderly, who has not pitted yet, I believe. Got DRS now, uses the boost, here he goes. And defending even from Sadderly. They are side by side. Ooh, and Sadderly gets squeezed wide a little bit. But I do have to say that was a little bit cheeky defending as well. But nevertheless, Daniel took that spot by force. And it's time to see who is going to pit this time around. Probably Paschalis and Michi. And I'm really curious to see where Alvaro Torres will go after that. Because he's still in P4. Only has a 6-second disadvantage over them. And obviously he's going much quicker this lap than last lap. Fresh mediums. Feeling like fresh softs, but he's locking up tremendously during this lap. Both ACR drivers have a little bit of a shaky moment there going into the pit. Michi Hoyer almost ran into the back of Paschalis. That's something you would never want to see ever. With the same order they entered the pits, they are going out again. And Ruud Heesterbeek actually driving in P4 with not having made any pit stop whatsoever. He started nearly dead last, P20 I believe, so. Are you still here, Jeroen?
I am definitely still here, having a little bit of
watchful eye.
Having a little bit of a look at the battle between Severly and Brewer. I think Severly has gone into the pit lane. So this is actually a proper on-track battle for position. Severly not giving up just yet on that position.
I don't know if Alvaro Torres had that going out of the pit issue in qualify with Giordano Valeriano. It was either Valeriano or Bufumu. But, perfect payback time moment. Nah, joking. But Valeriano has got his pit light on, so he will go out of the way anyhow. But you already see that dirty air having an effect on Alvaro's driving. And I'm sure he's happy to see that his lead is back to him. And Christoph Schroer going into the pit as well. Ruud Heesterbeek still driving strong. Has got his pit light on and is having no traction in the corners whatsoever. But nevertheless, he is driving strong and in P2. Can't give him anything else. Still has to pit, but nevertheless. Pascal is now onto fresh rubber together with his teammate Michi Hoyer behind him. And closely followed by Daniel Brewer, although there is a little bit of time in between that. And because Valeriano waited a little bit longer with the pit stop than the guys I just mentioned, he has dropped down the order a little bit dramatically.
The gap between Gergis and Torres was 9.8 seconds before. It's now 11.3 seconds, and of course Gergis has got to deal with Heesterbeek, who's in front of him, who is yet to stop. It will cost him a little bit of time over the course of this lap, I would say, unless Heesterbeek makes a tremendous mistake and Paschalis can go by. But I don't really see that happening. 11.4 seconds gap between Paschalis and Torres.
Yeah, Torres still driving with such a crooked suspension. I don't think it's pleasant for him.
Yeah, and remember as well that Torres is on the medium tire and those ACR cars are both on soft.
Yep. Who in a big moment again from Torres had to do everything in his power to keep the car straight. Nasty, nasty damage for him.
It's getting really dark, by the way. There's a big cloud hanging over the circuit right now. As Heesterbeek comes into the pit lane indeed. That releases Paschalis Gergis and Michi Hoyer. And Hoyer is actually quite close to Gergis. But Hoyer has got DRS, so has Paschalis though. Because of Heesterbeek, who was in front of him. So Hoyer cannot make a move yet into turn 1. And of course those guys are teammates, so they do probably execute a little bit more caution.
But I do feel that Michi Hoyer is like Nico Rosberg, obviously because he's German, and Paschalis Gergis being like Hamilton. The rivalry is there between them. I feel. But it's never good to have. It's never bad to have a little bit of rivalry, as long as it's not compromising your results in any way. Like Webber did at Vettel in 2010 Turkey. Huh? Haters, come get me. Big Vettel fan here. No, but that was a pure, ego incident. Both drivers were like, okay, go home. In Chris DeJong friendly terms. So Michi Hoyer and Paschalis though driving a steady and strong race, but it seems like Giordano Valeriano screwed the pooch a little bit for their winning hopes. And interesting to see that in clear air Paschalis isn't gaining any time whatsoever. Instead he's losing it compared to the medium compound broken suspension of our Torres.
Let's have a look over here. 30.4 from Torres. Paschalis about to cross the line right now. He has done a 30.1.
Oh, 1.
So that's 3/10 faster, and you wouldn't expect anything else, of course. They are on a soft tire. It's right now vital for them to make use of this softer tire.
Yeah, exactly, and Alvaro can last a little bit longer, but yeah, he will have Paschalis pitting earlier, presumably. But yeah, it's interesting to see 10, 11 laps in Ace on the first stint of soft. So that's a little bit of the prediction in WC as well, I suppose. But yeah, I have heard drivers in Pro that were able to do 15, 16 laps on softs, you know, and that's incredible, I guess.
So Timo Valkejärvi stably in 7th right now. He's got Christoph Schoer behind him. 24.6 seconds is the gap between Torres and Timo, who's in P7. That is quite a big gap, but of course we have seen that train with Valeriano, who is currently in fact in front of Timo by 6-7 seconds. Timo on the
dark clouds.
Tire.
I see really dark clouds.
I know. Yeah, there have been really dark clouds.
I mean, if we can go on board with Christoph Schoer, we instantly see it. I mean, look at the darkness there. Judging on the literal driver's onboard cam though, not the TV cam, but yeah, it's I'm getting a loss of words here. Might be some for you haters there, but now Christoph Schoer though overtaking Timo Valkejärvi here on the inside. Valkejärvi not putting up any defense because of the DRS and most likely the boost as well, and he cannot defend as well because Schoer still has his DRS. So Schoer moves up a position, and the gap to Valeriano is quite extensive. But it seems like Valeriano is finding a second life in his stints or so. It didn't look really prosperous for him the first couple of laps, to say the least. I was actually convinced he had damage, but it seemed like everything is sorted right now for him.
Yeah, he was 1.5 seconds slower before. He's now 4 tenths per lap slower before, so he's definitely made an improvement there. And
maybe Alvaro paid him.
Yeah. Who knows?
No, but he still had a great start, Valeriano, because he started P5 or something.
Yeah, Valeriano started in P5 indeed, yeah.
So he still jumped Paschalis, I believe.
Yeah, that's correct. And he's somewhat stabilizing right now as well in that 6th position. Finds himself some pace, some consistency as well. And actually could knock on the door of Severly, who's in front of him. Is Severly on the medium tire? No, he's not. So Valeriano being right now actually quicker than the guy in front of him on the same compound.
Yeah, interesting to see. I see a lot of differences in terms of setup, especially the gear ratio. The gear ratios this year are fixed in a way. You can only change the final gear setting. So all gears are fixed. Only the extent of the gears are being able to set up. So that's creating a little bit of equality there, but I don't think that's the bad part about this formula. It generally gives everyone a little bit of the same chances, but you know, setup is still everything. I mean, even if your name is Bono Huis, you would still be a second slower with your default setup, you know.
So most cars being spread out right now quite a bit. We of course have a look at Gergis on that soft tire. Was only a 10th quicker than Torres last lap. Of course those softer tires are going to wear quicker than Torres' medium tires. I must say I'm impressed with the job Torres is doing at the moment. He is keeping that gap at about 11 seconds, and those two ACR cars, yeah, they are on the softer compound, but they are not gaining as much time as I would expect from them, because they are on the softer compound, and that is all thanks to the driving of Torres, I believe.
Yeah, he's doing a tremendous job. Really surprising to see him with a crooked steering wheel, and I hope he can continue in this fashion, obviously. I also hope Mike Partington can do a little bit better. Obviously he had that first lap incident, and well, it's easy to say and to observe and to state that, you know, even if you have great pace, you'd still have you still have a problem. But as I'm watching, he also has a crooked steering wheel, so, and I didn't notice that before, but he's actually driving with a crooked suspension as well. But what I wanted to say is that it's not as easy to run up through the field if you have, you know, a much better pace, because I'm sure that Mike Partington is amongst the top 5 on being the fastest guys on track. But not with a broken car and not in the dirty air, you know? I mean, it took him 10 laps to overtake Norbert Leitner. No offense, Norbert, but you know, Mike is looking rather strong.
Definitely, well said. Indeed, you are completely right on that.
Remove the dirty air! I mean, you don't need a tow as well with DRS and boost. I mean,
I think it is fine. In my opinion, it's absolutely fine.
Well,
you are bound to get dirty air anyway. It's just part of the sport. We've got boost too. We've got
true,
DRS.
but
We've got
you know,
plenty of alternatives.
I just
to
think it's a
overtake.
little bit extensive. You know, just 20-30% less.
It does need to be a bit of a challenge to overtake, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, hopefully you and I tomorrow won't overtake anyone and we're starting from P1. Only time will tell. These guys are giving a run for everyone's money, actually. And definitely Alvaro here. I mean, still 11 seconds into the lead. And
Yeah.
I think with in a few laps time, 3 or 4 laps, maybe 5 even, we will cross the point where the mediums have degraded less than Paschalis his softs.
Interesting. Sorry to cut you off. It's interesting that you say that because we may have already reached that point. Paschalis was last lap 3 tenths slower already than Torres, and his times are dropping off.
Well, there you go. Well, now,
So Torres is right now. This is exactly what we mean with the medium tire. Torres is setting during every single lap mostly personal best sectors. Those medium tires aren't degrading as much as those soft tires, for example. You can go on, and of course there is wear, but the fuel level also goes lower as he burns off the fuel, and that gains a little bit of time too. So
yeah, Paschalis, well said by the way, and Paschalis pitted in lap 12, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 7, 8 laps being that cutoff where the tires are turning yellow and tomato red.
sun is coming out again. That's very nice.
Yeah,
At least for the drivers, maybe.
yeah, like the sun in real life.
And for the
But,
spectators as well. Exactly. Yeah,
I want to have a
that's
digital monsoon here for these drivers. You know, I want to have circumstances like Monaco 1997 or something when Olivier Panis won, with only 3 or 4 cars finishing that round. But
And look at the gap now, Chris. 11 seconds it was before. It's now 11.8. So in one lap, Pascal has lost another 7 tenths to Torres. I have to say, hat off to Torres at the moment.
yeah, if
And
in all
yeah,
whatever probability I win the race tomorrow and Alvaro does so today, then we might be up for a hat-trick at Netrex, huh? Aren't we, Cuba Brzezinski and everyone else who's watching? Huh?
you'll be stopped. You'll be stopped.
Nah, personally, I think Cuba might be. Sorry, Jeroen, but I think he might be the title contender this year.
Nice, because Kuba is a lot slower than me.
Shots fired.
No, I'm realistic.
Okay, I'm completely.
You can
stunned
ask
for
Kuba
10
himself.
seconds.
You can ask Kuba himself.
Okay, well, I'm really happy. I rather see that Dutch flag than the Polish flag. No offense, Cuba, but it's getting summertime in Holland, and we are already seeing a lot of Polish people here. but yeah, die was hard, hè? But no offense, but I really thought that Cuba would be the guy to beat this year. But,
Nah, I think Kuba is a very stable factor, and
I saw.
maybe you have better raw pace, but Kuba is always a factor you've got to count on in the races.
Before we go on topic again, because we're a little bit off topic, my bad. I did see a Facebook post come by where you know, you and Cuba Brzezinski said don't bother showing up tomorrow of this week, you know.
I said nothing. It was all Kuba.
Oh, it was all Cuba.
It was all Kuba.
And Mohammed Patel looking quite strong there verbally, but yeah, it's never over. I mean, you can't count those Twister guys out.
Exactly, you can't count out anyone. So
I mean,
can
the
always
difference
say
of last year with Brilliak and Patel compared to the rest of the field, it was only Brilliak and Patel. And behind that, there was the sister team of Twister. You know, so you had like 2 Mercedes Grand Prix last year. But hopefully, you guys can shake up that difference, and we're gonna have 58 laps of pure intense racing instead of someone like Alvaro Torres now creating a 10-second lead in 4 laps. You know, because that's a little bit preposterous. But yeah, until that point where Paschalis and Michi passed Giordano Valeriano, that gap instantly stabilized. You know, so it would be a different story if Valeriano wasn't there. You know, and Andrew Pinar is saying now amen. But yeah, it's a joke from last year, obviously. But no, it's interesting to see what's going to happen because I still have the feeling, we're not even halfway yet. The driving with a crooked suspension, like Alvaro is doing and like Partington is doing now, is pretty much hell. And a mistake is easily made. I saw both of them sliding tremendously, and Alvaro has the room to spare to lose 10 seconds. But after that, I do think that Paschalis or Michi might have the better chances here because their car is undamaged. Brewer into the pit. So that's not a long stint on those soft tires. And Brewer disconnects? Nee. Daniel Brewer.
Yeah, he has disconnected indeed.
Ah. Scheisse. Huh? That is rather unlucky for Daniel. He was looking very strong for this next stint.
He really did disconnect indeed. At the pit exit, that's a really, really tough situation to deal with. There we go.
Hopefully it's the only one this year, Daniel. Send my regards personally to you.
Fourth place as soon as he entered the pit, I think.
Yeah.
Sad to see, very sad.
Well, unlucky for him. Mike Partington instantly gains the place because of that, obviously. Still hope he does well. And indeed, he is doing well at the moment. P7 after that horrible first lap where he was basically a victim, I believe. Still has a lot of room to keep it together. And, 9 seconds between him and P4, Valeriano, it's not undoable. Like I said, in only 5 laps time we will be at the halfway point. So, still got a long way to go.
By the way, Chris, Daniel Brewer, his PC was actually resetting. So that's where that comes from.
Okay, GG. Windows update? Oh, Alvaro! This is exactly what happened. Alvaro Torres always spinning it. If you can go to the replay, just press R and we will have the 20-second replay. He is going on to the first couple of corners. He is in turn 4 and turn 5 is where it all happened. A big, big lockup for him and losing it on the exit, and remarkably he kept it out of the wall. But that was definitely a wake-up moment for Alvaro there.
You can lose it so easily on the exit of that corner. It doesn't look like it at all at first sight, but when you actually go through it, it goes slightly on the grass, and it is so easy to spin off there. Almost happened to Alvaro Torres. Props to him, by the way, for keeping that one mostly out of the barriers, because that requires an insane reaction time.
Yeah, we doing good in that track. We doing good, homie. No, it's joking.
Oh, you are doing starting right now.
It's starting to look like an internet thug here. I'll leave that to the others here. But yeah, nevertheless, he lives to fight another day. And with 24 laps under his belt, he's still leading 10.5 seconds strong. And yet another big twitch in the steering wheel. I don't think we have seen everything just yet. I mean, I think Alvaro Torres really has to work for his money, because we're paying him a lot of money. No, but he really has to work for his money in order to get things going. Michi Hoyer decided to pit just this moment. He just exited in P5, puts on fresh softs again, and I believe he didn't yet drive on the mediums.
No, that is his third stint actually on the soft tire. But maybe he got a little bit frustrated being behind Paschalis for so long. Goes onto the soft tire to make sure that the undercut is going to work on Paschalis, and when he pits, he will be in front of Paschalis by then. It could be a bit of a strategy. I think Torres lost about 1.5 seconds with that half spin. So. It's somewhat damage limitation, because you can lose a lot more time by making a mistake into that corner. So Valeriano is right now in third. Didn't expect him to see there. Obviously, no offense after the first couple of laps, but he has picked it up quite nicely. We've been talking about him quite a bit before about his progress during the course of the race, where he picked it up basically, and that leads to himself being right now in third place. Of course, Hoyer would be in front of him when he pits again, but honestly, that is a good job from Valeriano. picking it up a little bit there. Does Paschalis respond to Mitchell Hoyer? The answer to that is no. Paschalis is staying out at the moment. His pit light is on though, so we would expect to come him in soon.
Coming? Are you coming?
No, I'm not coming, Chris.
Okay.
Don't worry.
I should really shut up. But Michi Hoyer is in P4 again. Dive bombed Christoph Schroer, but it was legit as well. Christoph Schroer with his pit light on, and he will make a pit, I think, at the end of this lap. Just like Mike Partington did last time around. He is back on track with soft tires. Definitely edging out at pit exit. I'm gonna check if he cut at the line there. Nearly did. So Alvaro Torres still leading, but for the first time in a lot of laps, the gap is under 10 seconds. Definitely not a wake-up call for Alvaro, that moment a few laps ago. But he has to keep it tidy, he has to keep it onto the road, onto that grey bit. And Paschalis is going into the pit.
Yes, indeed.
That's your answer right there.
He goes to the medium. That's an interesting choice. So different strategies within the ACR team. And Hoyer would jump him, you would expect, and he does so indeed.
Yeah, he is.
There we go. Hoyer across the line, entering turn 1 right now. Paschalis exiting the pit, coming into turn 1 now.
With a big margin as well. I mean, 4 or 5 seconds.
Yeah, that is true.
Danny van der Niet going into the pit as well, rather cautiously. Schroer exits the pit. Gets jumped by Sadlerly though. Good job from Thomas, his teammate. Van der Niet going out on the soft tires. And now the question is, how far will Alvaro go with his set of mediums? Because obviously if he is going to pit now, he will, well, do the strategic thing, and that's, you know, cover your opponents, but it won't make his medium compound stint to full use. Having said that, he did have a rather big lockup there just a second ago, or a few laps ago, and I can't imagine tires that wouldn't have a flat spot after that. But yeah.
Yeah, he's consistent though. The all-time high 31s, the last 3 laps of him was 31.8, 31.6, 31.8, so consistency is there for him. Question is though, indeed, as you have said, yeah, 31.8.
Okay.
When you look at Hoyer right now, for example, he's doing low 30s, so...
Yeah, no, that's what I would expect. So,
yeah.
Yeah, well, Hoyer doing a nice job. He's a nice guy as well. I think it would be great for him to win a race. But it still has a big gap to fight off.
Oh, and Toussé has lost his rear wing.
Who?
There we go.
Who?
Toussé on the exit of turn 13. Andrew
okay,
Toussé,
dude.
P18.
Okay, Ooh, dude.
Ooh,
we're not going into this again. Few meters more and you get the retard award.
We've got the leader coming as well, Chris, in fact. He is close behind him, but I think he's gonna make it in time. Torres right now coming through the right-hander before the penultimate corner. He does indeed make it. So he went to go on and get a rear wing. Alvaro Torres right now being in the final corner does not pit yet. So Torres stays out, car number 26. Down the main straight he goes, but that gap is gonna shrink and shrink, of course. Hoyer right now 21 seconds behind him as Alvaro Torres completes another lap. And definitely he'll be losing another 1.7 seconds, you would say. Another 31.8 though from him, so very consistent.
Yeah, well, Andrew Toussé, he retired after seeing that the repairs being required took more than 3 minutes or whatever. And fortunately he's out of the race. I mean, no offense, but driving without a rear wing, it's a sensible subject with me. And, you know, we have seen it last year. You drove pro last year. You almost got taken out 3 times by back markers being crashed. You know, Michele D'Alessandro last year had the same problem. But yeah, fortunately in Ace there is still a little bit of professionalism to find, and with a little bit I mean a lot, and it shows by these kind of actions. Nobody got hurt and everybody is safe and sound. And who is really safe and sound is Michi Hoyer. He, hopefully for him, can sustain this pace, because he's doing an excellent stint at the moment with 30.0, 30.1, 30.2. And if we compare that to the times of Alvaro Torres, you would find that 1.5 seconds a lap he's making up. So yeah, if Alvaro needs any sign, it would be now to pit, but he doesn't even have his light on. But I would think it's the wisest thing to pit right now. He's struggling. You know, the only thing he's doing by extending his stint for 4 or 5 laps, as he just put it on his pit light, is 1.5 seconds lap. So that's 9 seconds that he loses purely by staying out.
Yeah.
And then it's just better to say, okay, my mediums have gone. I'll just go in now. I'll take my compromises. And I do also 10 or 12 laps with the medium, but at least I'm not losing 9 seconds, you know? Well, now he lost 9 seconds and he still has to make a pit stop.
Yeah, 1.9 seconds indeed. That's a big margin.
Yeah, last lap.
Yeah,
the lap before that 1.5, and the lap before that, and before that. So
yeah, of course.
It's epic. But Ruud Heesbeek going into the pit as well, out of P5. Remember, he started P20, so he's doing a fine job at the moment.
Partington showing his pace a little bit as well, being the fastest guy on track right now. He's currently behind Christoph Schoer though, who's in P7 and might make a move into turn 1. Oh, sorry, turn 3 rather. With the DRS, Christoph has got no DRS, so here we go. Partington definitely using boost 2, I would say. On the inside of turn 3, brakes rather late.
Ooh, contact was made, I believe.
I do think that indeed contact was made mid-corner. Partington sweeps by, however, and up he is into P7.
A little bit weird from Schroer. I mean, he didn't show any defensive moves. He tried to outbrake him and go towards the outside. But during the braking, Mike was already on the inside and already had that corner. What do people expect? That you get the outside line around the corner or something? You have to stomp on your brakes?
Torres coming in. So soft or medium? That's the question. I expect medium and then a soft run towards the end. He actually goes on soft right now. Okay, that's interesting. But where is Hoyer? Hoyer is right now down the main straight. Alvaro Torres exits the pit lane, and behind him is then Michi Hoyer. Torres still having a little bit of a buffer, of course, but he will be slower, of course, on the exit of turn 1. And here we go. Hoyer closed that gap up beautifully and has got him inside right now. But Torres still, of course, ahead and on the fresher tires.
Yeah, this is going to be the 7th lap that Michi Hoyer is on, and but definitely the gap has shrunk. Yeah,
yes, shrunk.
That correctly? Okay, it has shrunk tremendously, and now you know Alvaro is even in striking range for Michi. So Alvaro definitely didn't do the right job in staying out that late, but at least he has the advantage of better tires, and it will mean that. We shouldn't be surprised if he is disappearing onto the distance again. But we still have one more pit stop to go. I can't expect Alvaro to do 28 laps on this set of tires.
No.
And he is on the soft, so it's impossible. They both have to pit once more. So maybe Michi is going for the last 20 or 18 laps on medium or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. He was going on medium. I think Torres can do another soft stint. Having said that, he would need to look after the softs though, that's for sure.
Correct, Baxter retired unfortunately.
Oh, he had suspension damage. So he must have made a mistake before. Maybe touched the wall.
Alvaro showing he still has the ropes in his hands, and he is trying to create a little bit of a gap between him and Michi. understandably as well.
And Hoyer is so consistent. He is still doing 130.1s. I mean,
Yeah,
he has
it's what
done
you
6
expect from a German, right? Consistency.
Yeah, exactly. He has done 6 or 7 laps, and all the laps has been within 0.250 of tenths within each other. And Paschalis himself obviously moved a little bit closer to Torres, the leader of the race as well. Remember that those guys were separated by about 10 seconds before. It's now 8.4 seconds. But of course, Hoyer has got the best papers in his hands, so to say, to beat Torres. But honestly, Torres is in a really good seat at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, Michi Hoyer might have the best papers, but Alvaro Torres has the most crooked wheel right there. But yeah, that's not doing any good for him, is it now? But he's managing to cope with it, but I'm sure he's happy when this race is over. And well, in what kind of position that will be, that's for us to see later. But I'm actually happy that we have a fight on our hands again.
Yeah, Christoph Schoer attacking Thomas Severly, by the way, to turn 1. Those two are having a little bit of a battle. Severly being on the medium tire, Schoer being on the soft tire. We'll have DRS here as well, but I think he's a little bit too far back to make a move into turn 3. But maybe he's gonna prove me wrong. He doesn't though. Had a little bit of a look, but decided to back out of it. Those two guys are teammates, of course, so they will take it a little bit easy.
Indeed so, and Mike Partington in P5 at the moment. Fresh rubber under his car, I believe. Well, sort of. At least he did do a 133.3 last lap around.
Yeah, I looked at that as well.
Was
a mistake, I'm sure.
Well, pretty big mistake then. But we already have 7 DNFs right now, and well, Daniel Brewer isn't really a DNF. He, had a RS, a restarted computer there. Really unfortunate for him. But unfortunately, if it's not the engine that breaks down, because it's all virtual, it might be your computer. I mean, once I actually, during sim racing, I had a brake pedal that broke. It was a F430 steering wheel, and I once had my flippers, my gear shifters, being stuck, so I couldn't shift anymore. But apart from that, you would never experience technical difficulties if you put the right rods and ducts. And that's good, isn't it, Jeroen? I mean, it wouldn't be nice to see someone lose the race in the end of the lap, the race, purely because he has transmission issues.
Yeah, of course. We saw it last year with Mohammed Patel in China.
No, but that was an engine,
Yes,
was good.
Chris, come on, let me talk.
Sorry.
No, on the more serious note, it was Patel in China last year who blew up his engine. I mean, that was not nice, but if you would see that more often because of as you said, transmission failure or any kind of other failure, you don't really want to see that. Okay, I can live when it's an engine or a brake duct, you can adjust those things, but a mechanical failure such as gearbox failure is out of your hands. And
indeed, and we shouldn't have that in online racing. That would be messy. Thomas Saturday though is our next retirement. Unfortunate for him. Don't know what happened there. I'm gonna see. Oh, he was actually what? Idiot! He was just. Oh, dear God! He just braked the car down to 0. Decided, okay, I'm now stationary on the track. I'm gonna just chill here for 5 seconds before exiting. It's a good judgment of the other guys around him that there wasn't a big crash. But if you suddenly see a car right in front of you stationary, then you're what the hell? Mm-hmm. Right? Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it on the left-hand side of turn 3, which is exactly why you would prepare for your braking.
Exactly, like what the hell?
Braking spot.
Well, 15 drivers left in contention or whatever. And Alvaro Torres now almost 5 seconds clear of Hoyer again.
Full and Carpenter having a little bit of a battle on track right now. And you see, I think the first turn has got the highest overtaking possibility percentage, so to say. You don't see that many overtakes into turn 3 unless you
Yeah.
get a fantastic run out of the first corner.
Agreed.
But mostly it's down into that first corner where overtakes happen. Of course, when you have DRS down the first straight, you are close to the guy in front of you, picking up dirty air, and thanks to that you aren't as quick through the first corner anymore, so you lose a little bit of time down that second DRS straight, and hence the reason why we don't see that much overtaking over there. Obviously, we have seen the incident there between Partington and Torres in the first lap, which has got well, huge consequences, you would say, for Partington, who is now driving in 5th place, but is yet to stop.
Yeah, indeed. So he will lose out, but maybe he can keep it down to one more stop like the rest, and he basically caught up. And considering his pole position, I have to still speak of damage limitation in terms of points, or points-wise, considering he's driving around in P5. Because those first 10 laps behind Leitner must have been really appalling and horrible for him.
Yeah, it didn't help, of course, when you have such a big train and everyone has DRS on each other. It makes overtaking very hard,
Yeah.
of course. Definitely didn't do him any good. So Torres doing an excellent job, but what else would you expect? 6.5 seconds is the gap between himself and Mitchie Hoyer. He seems to be relatively safe and setting himself up for that victory. Of course, still, 23 laps to go. But he has been looking quite composed, other than that mistake, of course, we have seen from him into turn 5.
Exactly.
But the pace is there, that's something which is for sure. And the consistency this stint as well, don't forget that. I mean, 26.4, 26.4, then he had one lap which was 26.9, so mistake there. But then again, going into the 26.1, or sorry, 29.1 of course, 29.1 again.
Yeah, seems like Alvaro is putting on the longest end in the end as well, but yeah, still 22 or 21 and a half laps to go. Anything can happen, obviously. And remarkably, Paschalis Gergis dropped down a little bit. I thought that Michi Hoyer was knocking on the door the first 10 laps, but I didn't think he was that much faster, and it seems that Michi has a little bit of an edge over his teammate, so to speak. Would have been a completely different story if Paschalis would have let him go, but in the early stages of the race. But if you do that kind of stuff in the first race where the championship is completely open, then you can just park your car and stop right there. You're gonna do favors for your teammate in the first race, or your name is Bucket Shadow. Can happen. Nevertheless, 1 second a lap is Alvaro pulling away from Hoyer almost. And I'm pretty curious to see what will happen in terms of strategy. I mean, Michi still has like 4 laps to go, 5 laps until the gap opens for him to go onto the mediums. And well, it's a matter of hanging on for him, because I think that his tires are, well, close to reaching a cliff.
Hey Chris, do you
Yes.
remember saying that Partington had a slow lap, which was like a 33, which was out of order?
Yeah.
I checked back to exactly check what happened to Severly, but Partington gave a slight tap to Severly on the entry of turn 3. Severly spun because of that, and due to that Severly had to pit, and then of course he quitted, which we saw.
Oh, cheeky bastard, that Partington, eh? No, no, but yeah, I didn't see it. But well, maybe maybe Partington was a little bit of get out of my way. I already saw a lot of trouble this year, this race, whatever. But yeah, that's unfortunate, and maybe something for the stewards to watch out for after the race. Well, still driving strong in P5 at the moment, and maybe Giordano Valeriano is still in reach for him, but the thing is though, is that it's 10 seconds in between them, so Mike would still have some driving to make up for in order to get even close to Giordano. And in the midfield, well, Timo Valkejärvi is close to Christopher Schroer, but you know, close being everything said. And Ernesto De Angelis is driving rather close to Danny van der Niet, but that has been the story for the past couple of laps. Ruud Heesterbeek driving a dike of a race. Maar, yeah, Dutch saying there. He's driving a dike of a race. But no, he started P20 and he is now driving in P6 even because of the pit stops of Partington and Schroer. But yeah, I'm pretty curious to see where he will go. Now, Partington, assumingly on his last stint in this race on the mediums, that would mean 20 laps and a little bit cautious driving. I mean, you can't overdrive your tires one flat spot and you will definitely notice a change of lap time instantly. But hopefully for him he can keep it together. At least Alvaro still, he managed to increase the gap with 10 seconds again. Still struggling as ever, as I instantly come with him on board and I instantly see 2 or 3 corrections there.
Hoyer pitting.
Interesting.
So well, that would be a medium tire then, of course.
Yeah, go to the medium.
He had to do it anyway because he didn't run the medium tire yet. This is the first time we see Michi Hoyer on a medium tire. Is he going to fit out in front of Valeriano? Yes, he does. You would know. Well, I don't think so.
Nee.
Here we go. Valeriano down the main straight. He will indeed take it.
Grabbing popcorn. Ooh! Close call there from Michi. Obviously he had to brake because Valeriano was the fast traffic there. But yeah, the exit here is, you know, it's risky. It can be risky. Well, this is definitely not a nice thing for Michi to have feed out over our nice position. It was just that 1 second that separated him and P3, and obviously he would be in clean air. And we all know what that would mean. Now, though, he has to fight his way alongside again. And this is definitely costing him seconds. Alvaro, though, enjoying it every bit of the way. But he should be doing the wise thing as well and go to mediums in a few laps' time as well. And just close any possibility there, because he still has a 10-second lead over virtual leader Michi Hoyer right now. And you know, if he pits, then you know he has 10 seconds to spare on the same tires, so it would be no risk whatsoever. Let's see what he's doing though.
Hoyer opening up his DRS, then you would think that he's going to go by Valeriano over here. Valeriano doesn't bother defending. Easy. Indeed. And there we go, Hoyer getting past easily, as Chris said.
Yeah, I think he used boost there as well. Still gets the DRS right here. Awesome. At least for him. Nevertheless, 26.5 seconds between Hoyer and Alvaro. Where a pit stop is, what, 14, 15 seconds?
Yeah, a little bit more probably because of the pit exit in turn 1. So in total it will be a bit longer.
Yeah, 16, 17 seconds. Around that. Well, Hoyer looking composed as ever. And his teammate right in front of him doesn't have his pit light on just yet. But he is just 10 seconds ahead and driving remarkably slow, Paschalis is. Short shifting all the way. He's losing a lot of time right now. Alvaro Torres keeping it composed and together. Coming behind some back markers now as Giordano pits. Yeah, purely bad timing then for Michi.
Ooh, and Valeriano and Heestebeek. Bit close into turn 1. Heestebeek of course taking that position. So Valeriano himself fitting out behind another car in front of him who was on a different strategy. It's going on a little bit longer. Heestebeek has been kind of an ninja during this race. We haven't seen him all that much, haven't talked about him all that much, but he's currently up in P5. He's yet to stop though, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, he has to stop one more time, I believe, but yeah, so do the rest, except for Michi. But you never know what the plans are from everyone, of everyone else. Alvaro now coming up behind Sander Callas, who is almost a lap back marker. Big difference though. Callas last year, title contender in Pro, now almost driving dead last in the 15 drivers yet remaining. He's 1.5 minutes down the lead. Well, the gap is obviously shrinking quite dramatically between Michi Hoyer and Alvaro, but Alvaro still has time to spare. But it's not going onto an infinite rate. There are 16 or actually 15.5 laps remaining in this race, and it would be a safe bet that Alvaro can just cover off the rest of the competition by pitting now and going on to the mediums and finishing the race. But if he waits too long, if he waits like 5-6 laps longer, then it might be the case that Michi goes out comes out in front of him. But then again, I would see no reason at all when Alvaro is spinning with 10 laps to go.
Yeah, Michi is gaining 1.5 seconds again per lap. That's a given. I think Torres though wants to go onto another soft tire, definitely. Towards the end of the race again.
Well, fair enough. Yeah, he puts on the pit light right now.
Yeah, I expect him to pit this lap then, maybe next lap. If he does next lap, it will be 12 laps, which is doable on this low fuel tank, so to say. So here we go then, Michi Hoyer into P3, 130.0. That is 1.2 seconds last lap. Torres improving himself slightly on the softer tire. Schade still stably in second though, and yeah, of course that's gonna become third when he pits. I do expect him to pit quite soon as well though. I mean, those guys can probably do 14 laps on the soft tire with relative ease. Of course they can't go full attack and push on them and start overheating them, but honestly 14 laps could be doable on such a low fuel tank. Hoyer gaining 6/10 this lap on Alvaro Torres in the first sector. And Timo being in fourth right now, 40 seconds behind Torres. And is Timo yet to pit? Timo is yet to pit, so that's gonna become even bigger in fact. And it's interesting to see that we had such a big train behind Valeriano in the opening stage of this phase, of this race, and now it's just, Valeriano's in 6th. Timo was, as our leader pits, Timo was behind him before. And Timo is right now in front of Valeriano. Of course, he's yet to stop though, so that doesn't really count. Pit stop of the leader though, going smooth. Very smooth indeed, and it will be 15 laps then for Alvaro Torres on the soft tire, as Paschalis Gergis behind him also went to the pit lane. Our Greek driver will undoubtedly go into the soft too, and he does indeed do so.
As you predicted indeed, softs again.
Paschalis coming in front of Timo, of course.
Yeah. Now I'm looking at Partington, who is driving in P8, but he's still got Ernesto and Heestebeek, and I believe Valkejärvi will have to pit. Heestebeek is doing that right now. Valkejärvi has his light on, so that will be the next lap. So he's gonna win or gain 2 positions. But looking at Alvaro, he did 17 laps on the mediums. Obviously wants that comfort zone, it seems. And obviously he has created that for himself as well. No reason why he shouldn't.
Someone is stationary on track.
Oh.
Samuel Carpenter.
Oh, Jesus. Jesus. Oh,
And he
good.
retires. What happened there then?
That was scary. Yeah, he just spun. It was the dirty air.
It was in fact, yeah. The Formula in front of him who came out of the pits, and that's a big impact for Carpenter. Of course, losing his rear wing as well.
It's intense. Well, something to watch out for. I'm sure he was swearing there before pressing escape. But all forgiven. Valkyarvi in the pit as expected. Hoyer doing everything in his power in order to keep his hopes up. But every lap they're shrinking 13 or 12.5 laps to go. And the gap is 7 seconds approximately, so...
Yeah, now Hoyer is someone who's realistic. He knows that something unlikely is gonna have to happen here. Does he want to win the race? So.
Indeed, and obviously P2 and P3 as a team perspective puts them into the constructors' lead. So that's something to be happy about as well. Nevertheless, like I said, 12.5 laps to go, or 12 in a bit. And yeah, anything could still happen though.
Knock it off, Chris. That's could be a commentator's curse coming there, maybe. Yeah. Maybe some rain about now.
Yeah, maybe a naked man on the track.
Yeah, maybe.
So Valeriano's still holding on to P4. I believe he already made his pit stop, the last one for this afternoon.
Yes, he did.
Indeed,
so in lap 41. How about De Angelis though?
I think he still has to. Oh no.
That's since lap 30. So Angelis still having to pit.
Or he's just gonna finish this race, but that's a long shot.
That's a very long shot. That would be 28 laps.
Well, we're settling in for the later stage of this race. And although the tension of, in terms of positionings and battlings and whatsoever have been settled pretty much, still interesting to see if the surprise factor might cause some more tension later on. I do have to say that the racing today is far from boring and a lot of exciting things happened. Unfortunately, not really the battles that we, hoped for. At least I hoped for. It was pretty composed, but nevertheless tense. Especially those early stages with Valeriano in P2. A lot of these drivers can be happy with a top 10 position. Definitely Heesterbeek. He's showing a tremendous determination, to say the least. But a lot of these drivers are struggling as well to keep the car on the road. Well, Oslakovic being the only lapped car at the moment, so. And De Angelis is in the pit, already going out of it again.
P10 for him then, behind Van der Niet and Heesterbeek, or in a little bit of a battle. But other than that, the cars are spread out quite a lot, of course. We've got Torres who pulls away from Hoyer. Hoyer who of course doesn't pull away from Gerges, but that gap is too big to bridge probably for Paschalis. And Valeriano 4th, Partington 5th, Christoph Schoer 6th. And of course we've got Timo and Heesterbeek Van der Niet who are quite close to each other. In fact, the closest cars on the whole track.
Yeah. Indeed, as Alvaro makes it 10 laps to go from now. should be cruising to a win right here. 9 seconds into the lead over Hoyer, who has to be said is driving a phenomenal race at the moment.
It's promising for him. It's
definitely.
It's very promising.
Yeah, he was close at one moment where Alvaro just pitted, but then Alvaro just extended his gap once more, and he did the same trick, the pit stop strat after. Pascal is not to follow in the footsteps of Michi, but you can't look into the cockpit of someone. The first lap was hectic, maybe a little bit of a bump was given. The damage model here is, it was over realistic, but it has been sensitive, nevertheless.
It's sensitive to say.
It is sensitive, yeah, but not over the edge, fortunately.
Sensitive is definitely the right.
Even though after watching these guys race so hard, I'm thinking about doing my own practice for tomorrow after this race. What about you, Jeroen?
I've got a birthday, so.
Ah.
But I do expect to do another quick simulation somewhere before the race.
From yourself? Your own birthday?
No, it's not my own birthday, no.
Ah. Well, nevertheless, congrats.
Thank you very much. And it's just 10 laps now in between Torres and his first victory of this season. Of course, after the first race, that's very nice. But I think that Hoyer can keep his head up and take positives from this race for sure. Yes, he has had good pace, and of course after a race like this you always wonder what if Adriano would have been there in the opening stint. Fact is that I think Torres has shown today that he is an incredibly quick driver, has got incredible raw pace and decent consistency as well, although there are improvements to be made if you look at it from a critical standpoint.
Yeah. So and he's also Spanish.
He is also Spanish, yes.
Mm-hmm. So during testing as well, when he has his voice activation still on, we often hear him snore behind the wheel, and then he's waking up. Oh, so sleepy. Oh. No, actually, sorry for that, but he's a fantastic guy as we speak, and well, determined to get his win into the pocket. He had that one moment where he was a little bit sideways drifting to turn 5, but apart from that, spot on. And must have been a tough one, and it might still be a tough one in order to keep this car on the track. But you know, judging at this steering wheel, it just doesn't look right, and most definitely it won't feel right as well. Same for Partington, but he had the unfortunate issue of being on the outside line in turn 1 on that one after the start, and he got forced wide and had to rejoin the track. So he got back into P14, but nevertheless damage limitation for him. 5 seconds between... Oh. Alvaro Torres had a moment there. He just went off the throttle. What the hell was that? He just braked tremendously.
Yeah, he started braking. What?
A little bit of a precaution there, but yeah, maybe he felt the car sliding already. Maybe his Spanish reactions are that fast that it kicked in a millisecond after. Nevertheless, keeping it together. 11.4 seconds being the gap.
Yeah, and
Hoyer, so.
Gerkes is gaining 6 tenths per lap, but if he keeps on gaining this, it would be enough just about. Although it would have to be a little bit more, but of course, Gerkes is on the soft tire, Hoyer is on the medium. Those softer tires are going to wear more than Hoyer's tires. Yeah. So it's a big task for Pascales, and I think it's a little bit too much judging from a realistic point of view.
Yeah, definitely, and well, this should be safe and sound for Alvaro, tied up with a beautiful knot. Of
course, this race is longer than it would be last year as well, by this time last year we would be finished with the 80% race distance. He's right now 100%. I remember a time in Ace though where we had, I think it was 60% race and a sprint race which was 30%, I believe. That has gone into the bin, so to say. It was 80% last year. Now we've gone to 100%, so that's obviously equal to the WC race distance. It does make this Saturday evening a little bit longer than it would usually be, of course.
True that. But yeah, still, finish of the closing laps are well definitely underway right now, and it's a little bit of a sprint to the finish. Obviously, you can't say the same of Schroer and Valkejärvi. Those two are still, battling it out pretty hard. And I think Teemu would love to take that 6th position away from Christoph.
He's got a good chance to do so. He's a second lap faster. He's on a soft tire as well. So if he wants to pounce, it must be quite soon as well. Because again, those softer tires will wear more. So the earlier he does it, the better it will be most likely. Because then he's got a chance to pull away as well with the fresher, softer tire. He's lining himself rather nicely though. He is already going to do it even over here around the outside. He doesn't do it though. It goes for a little bit of a for an undercut, for a switchback. But had to get in on the brake in the middle of the corner.
That's big switcheroo there.
Yeah, definitely. Lost him a little bit of time in fact.
Maybe tire wear as well. He can apply the boost, apply the DRS, and there he goes out into space. It's a good thing that front wing is attached, otherwise those cars would just, take off.
Teemu Valkejärvi not being close enough. Behind it though is another battle between De Angelis and Heesterbeek. De Angelis on the outside of turn 3. Heesterbeek leaves enough room. They are still side by side going into turn 4. And Heesterbeek will have the inside line for the next corner. But De Angelis won't give up. I trust you. I promise you, I should say. And De Angelis around the outside. Beautiful.
Brilliant move from De Angelis here. And Heesterbeek just can't believe it. Tries to cut back onto the outside there. I didn't think when I saw that Ernesto was able to make that corner, but he still left a little bit of space in the apex for Heesterbeek to go through. But tense, hardcore racing here. This is what we want to see, and awesome move.
Awesome move indeed. Yes, the driving you want to see, but both and clean from both of those guys. I mean, how many times have we seen an incident in turn 3 already with two drivers colliding? So great respect between the two drivers, and as you said, that's what we want to see.
This 40-year-old Ernesto, I know he's gonna fire me after I've said that now, but nevertheless, shows that he can still race. And he, like I said earlier on the stream, he was one of the first WC champions when we started 15 years ago. So he still has some sport in him.
Teemu on the inside of Schroer into turn 1. Schroer breaking late though, keeps that position nicely. Can Teemu do it then from the run to the run down into turn 3? DRS will be wide open, boost 2 will be activated as well. I'm sure not a lot of space being given between the two, but just about enough to squeeze through there basically. But Teemu can't get him just yet, which is fascinating to see. This is a good battle between these two guys.
Teemu's looking cross. He's like, get the hell out of my way here.
Yeah, and then in finish. Although, would Teemu talk, by the way, because he is finished, or would he just not say anything?
I don't know. I think Kimi Räikkönen on that aspect is a very overrated driver. But a nice number 2. More a fan of Bottas. Not sure if Kimi would say the same. Nevertheless, Teemu keeping it strong and composed here, trying to look for that inside line. Minimize the effect of the dirty air. It's being, well, pretty Chinese dirty if you ask me. But now he will definitely have the better exit. If he can hang on here, which he is, he's gonna open up the DRS, he's gonna open up the boost. And it's just bye-bye for Christoph if it's all alright. And indeed it is. and heartbreaking for Timo, but he did make the move stick, and he has DRS now to cover off any attempt.
Indeed, so it's Timo up to P6, then Christoph down to P7. And a few more laps. Guys, Timo makes a mistake. In fact, Christoph goes back through. Holy, that you did not expect that. Timo making a mistake into turn 3. And he's gonna have to start all over again now. But, you know, 4 more laps for him. Indeed, that's a nice sound effect from you. Wow.
Oh, I wish I could implement a sound box, but... Yeah, Schroer has been given a second chance as Alvaro rounds up lap 55. Only 3 more to go. The same counts for Timo. But behind that, Ernesto suddenly seeing 2 cars again, whilst he was just fighting with Heesterbeek a minute ago.
And De Angelis is fastest on track. 28.9 from him. By far the fastest guy on track. And 2 seconds faster than the guys in front of him. This is not done yet.
Forza Ernesto, voy. That would be nice, a nice battle in the end. Still 2.5 laps to go for these guys, still 3. See what they make of it. But with the soft tires, it's gonna be interesting to see. Ernesto will get DRS here.
Yeah, that ghost speed car from Christoph, I think, is running relatively low downforce. Timo not able to get by right here. Needs a good exit though out of turn 2.
Timo is gonna go for it. He is gonna go for it. There we go. Schroer is not defending, purely hoping that his outbraking will do the trick. Timo on the outside, Schroer on the inside. They leave each other plenty of room. Schroer left him maybe a little bit too much room. Will he get the same respect here? Yes, he will. And we stay side on side over the past 3 corners. Brilliant driving from the both of them. And the favor has been returned. They both gave each other more room than I should have given. Some people are saying, yeah, no shit, but yeah, whatever. Fact of the matter is that the order stays unchanged, and these guys have rounded up a nice dessert for us. That's something to be sure of. And Ernesto is still not done here. I'm sure he has the best tire life of them all.
Definitely. He's got 3 more laps to go, including this one, so 2 more as they cross the line. Timo needs to try to make that move stick. We see Schroer going quite wide through most corners. Timo being a little bit more tidy, but as soon as he got past, he made a mistake and Schroer got back through. But he is really on the gearbox now of that German, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Finnish guy takes the German guy here.
Racist!
The ghost speed car has got low downforce, I believe. I really do believe so.
But here comes Ernesto. He is really close to Timo now. With the DRS, they both have DRS now. But now it's decision making. Timo is going to the outside and inside. Ernesto on the outside. And just a matter of showing muscle here. But Ernesto is squeezing himself on the inside. This is brilliant for Schroer. Not so much for the other 2. Both losing a lot of time here.
Yeah, this is good for Schroer, as you said.
Ooh, Ernesto slipping up there. Maybe having that boost on with traction. Problematic.
Final lap for Torres, however.
Yeah.
He will be crossing the line soon.
15 seconds the gap between Torres and Michi. What a phenomenal race from Alvaro, has to be said. But also from the 2 ACR cars. Nevertheless, Ernesto is giving it everything that he has got remaining in his tires, but Schroer still being the better of the 3 at the moment in P6. And let's see where this is ending.
Yeah, fun thing is as well right now, how much more or how much longer can you use Boost 2 right now? Are you really marginal on fuel and can you not really use it?
That's
or
also.
have you got enough fuel to use it?
But do you have the courage as well?
soon.
Because worn out tires and, you know, continuous boost. Well, Timo is using it, that's something that's certain. He almost dives onto the gearbox of Schroer. Incredible.
He has him here. There's no way Timo is not going to go for a move over here. DRS will be wide open for him over here. Schroer this time on the inside. Schroer braking really late and Timo has got no answer to it. Fantastic defending from Schroer at the moment. They can't get by.
Indeed, and we're in the last lap of this race as we make up for Alvaro Torres. crossing the start-finish line at the moment. He has one more corner to go, and he has won the Formula Sim Racing inaugural of no, not inaugural Grand Prix, but of this year it is. Alvaro Torres takes it home with the victory, the full bag of points, and I am sure he is happy. Hopefully we will switch back to Schroer and Valkejärvi and De Angelis again, because those two are not done yet. Obviously Hoyer takes P2 and Paschalis Gerges comes home with P3. And this might stay the same as well from P6. Great effort from everyone on the podium.
Timo is really close, goes for the switchback here, can't make it work now. Look out for the Angelis. Is he going to do it? No, there's not. He's not far enough alongside. I think Christoph may have a good chance here at getting actually that 6th place. Unless Timo can get a fantastic run out of the final corner.
It's not gonna happen, and nobody's cocking up as well. Christoph Schroer, after a brilliant battle, takes home the P6, whilst it might feel more to that after that battle. And Timo Valkejärvi will smack himself right into the gobber purely because of that mistake he made, and left Schroer past him again. Timo still takes home a good bag of deal of points in P7, and Ernesto De Angelis in P8. And Van der Niet completing that with a P9 and Ruud Heestbeek completing the top 10. Leitner 11, Bufumu, a disappointing P12 for him. He's a really fast guy. And Callas in P13. Luka Oslakovic, our last DNF actually, in P14, still gets classified obviously. But the congrats go out to the podium. Alvaro Torres raises the Spanish flag up and takes home the victory. Michi Hoyer P2, Paschalis Gerges P3. Might be a little bit overwhelmed with disappointment because they know there's more into the car. And, they didn't... it was so unfortunate for them that they got stuck behind Valeriano. But nevertheless, that's racing as well. Yeah. But at least they can go home with the feeling that their car's competitive this year.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Of course, they may feel right now that there was a little bit more in it, but they could take that as a positive as well. And next time come back even stronger because of that. And I think they have got the chance to do that. They know where to work on most likely after this race. Maybe a bit unlucky in some way with Oliver Jano, although I wouldn't say it's unlucky. It's part of racing. Well, sometimes this happens.
Paschalis Gerges is showing that he's a great sport, saying amazing Alvaro, great. So he is certainly happy for him, and hopefully also for himself, because he can deserve it. The podium is always nice. I would be satisfied with P3 tomorrow, I think. Would you?
I don't know. Depends a little bit. What?
Cuba P2?
I wouldn't be surprised.
That's all okay. But that's for tomorrow to find out. I really hope you guys enjoy the racing. I'm sure I have. Definitely that action-packed last few laps between the three guys was tense to say the least. But awesome race, and the season has finally kicked off. Woohoo!
Yeah, indeed. First day is completed of the 2016 season. Yeah. Don't forget to come tomorrow again. We've got Chris DeJong actually racing in pro, so that's gonna be extremely exciting to watch.
Oh dear.
That's all starting in the afternoon, and then after that we've got the WC, of course. Chris, anything to say? I think yes.
Yeah, Kweekel is gonna win tomorrow, and for the rest, I don't know. No, it has been a tremendous race today, and hopefully we can say the same tomorrow. Obviously, we will have two races tomorrow. We also had two today with the new GP2 AMA series that is, I believe, free to join or whatever. If you do fancy a drive, but you think, okay, the entry levels of Formula Sim Racing are a little bit too far-fetched for me at the moment, just sign up for AMA and you will find, Ron Squire there and, having a great time at least. And it's all about having a great time with racing. Anyway, we are out for today. Thanks to George Winter onto the cameras. Awkward moment in there. Jeroen Kweekel on the commentary together with me, of course. And we would be delighted to see you back tomorrow afternoon for Pro. And a little bit later after that, WC. Have a great evening for today. And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.